I think that it depends. So depending on your vision and depending on where you're at, like I think that going into a branding intensive with the mindset that yes, you're going to try making money off of this, but really what you're trying to give yourself are options. You're trying to give yourself tools and assets and things that you can leverage to then go make money.
All right, hey everyone, Raj Perez, CEO and founder of Branding for the People. I'm excited to meet up again with my buddy Raj Jana, who is an entrepreneur, amazing human being who has several businesses, but we're going to be talking today about one of the brands and businesses that we worked on together. So Raj, welcome.
Thanks for having me, brother. Good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you as well. So for those who don't know who you are, and I know I just gave a little bit of a brief intro, but share with the people what you're up to and who you are.
Yeah, so my name is Raj. I am a entrepreneur, investor, and a show host. So I have several companies across several different verticals. Started my first one a few years ago, and that one was actually the business that really helped me, and Branding for the People really helped me sort of bring into the light, and a lot of the principles that I've learned through bringing that company to the light have been applied across the board for pretty much every project I work on. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Yeah.
Podcast, I love to have fun and say yes to things. So that's my life.
Well, in all transparency, we're also really good friends. So we hang out outside of business. We can jam and talk about a lot of different things. So yeah, this great human being right here. So Raj, for those listening in, what was the problem that you had prior to branding?
Yeah, so my first company was a company called JavaPress, and it was a coffee company, or it is a coffee company. But the company itself, when I had created the visual identity for the brand, I had started it in a way that didn't really have a long-term strategy to it. Like, it was kind of something that I put together very quickly. It was something that I didn't really think would grow to the degree that it did. And so I didn't really build out the success. I didn't build out the platforms. I didn't build out a strategy for me to take it to the place I wanted to take it to.
Okay.
And so that was really what I was struggling with at the time. Like, I didn't have a vision for the brand. I didn't have a way to explain the brand to other people in a way that was easily communicated. I didn't know how to enroll people into the brand in a way that would get them excited about what we were up to. And I didn't have a consistent sort of message that I could spread across multiple outlets, whether it was PR, whether it was to customers, whether just a unified brand story. And that kept me kind of stuck. Like, it limited my potential with what I was able to do, how I was able to sell, and the way that I was able to move. And that was my problem before we started working together. Yeah.
Now, it's very common. A lot of what you just mentioned is very common, but you were smart enough to sort of recognize, you're like, oh, okay, this is actually sort of stopping me in my tracks or preventing me from being able to just tell the same story and be consistent. So I love that you mentioned that, because I think a lot of people might fit into the same category that you're describing. Now, that being said, you're well-read. You're also well connected, and you know all the different options that are available for you, from resources to other programs or other consultancy agencies. Why did you ultimately end up, obviously we hit it off right away from the beginning, but why did you ultimately end up working with me, with Branding for the People?
I think I was impressed with the way that you think. Traditionally, when I've worked with agencies or, just specific people that focus on a vertical, the view is very limited to that vertical. But you were one of the first people that I met that had a pretty broad understanding of the nuances inside of messaging and branding, and how the different elements of visual identity, to the way something sounds, to the way something feels, to how that's perceived from a customer standpoint, to a PR angle, to a broader picture in terms of an exit or something like that. Like, I just felt like you you had a much broader sort of understanding of the importance of having a brand that could speak to so many different verticals. And I like that about you. And it's because, and for me, that's what I wanted. Like I was really
Yeah.
craving an ability to take this in any direction I could, because I wasn't sure of the direction I wanted to take it in. So I felt very empowered, sort of talking to you about it, because there was just so many different, like you were allowing me to take this in any direction I wanted to.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest gift I could have given myself, because it allowed me to be very flexible, especially as times have changed and, our messaging has sort of evolved, and the time, and, COVID came in. It's like, there's so many things that have changed, and
Yeah.
being able to set a blueprint that's allowed for a lot of pivots was something that I really saw you as somebody who could help us with. And so that's why I wanted to go with you versus anyone else.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. And we focus on, so I always talk about this brand is so much more than a logo and the visual identity. And those are all important pieces to building a great brand. We focus on the brand strategy process. We have an offering that we call the branding intensive, but in plain English, basically it's trying to figure out your positioning and your strategy. I love what you said. Well, thank you. I appreciate your kind words of just sort of hiring us based on sort of how I think. So now you're on the receiving end of it. What was that process? What made that process effective for you to kind of strategically carve out all these different layers of who you are and what you're trying to do?
Well, the process was really illuminating for me. And I mean, I tend to be a pretty avid learner, and a very curious soul. So like, I just appreciated everything from, I mean, I'd never considered branding to have so many layers, everything from the customer avatars to the positioning itself of like, to the brand promise, to the values, to the overall idea. Like, I mean, those are all new concepts to me, but
Yeah.
when going through the process, it was pretty abundantly clear that each of those had a very important role in allowing this to be a holistic picture, and
Mm,
not just a like I said, like a one vertical that would just work for what we were doing at the time, which was predominantly Amazon and predominantly on one sales channel. Like, going down that route made me see like, oh wow, no, like we're not selling on one channel, we're actually selling to these people, and
yeah.
these people like to be communicated to in this way, and we want to partner with and be associated with those brands, and
Yeah.
those brands like to be associated with this message. So like, it was really beautiful for me to sort of expand my own mindset and capacity for understanding the possibilities of what a brand can mean and what it can entail, and going through that process in that detailed way just opened the doors for me to taste the possibility and kind of break my own sort of
Yeah.
ceiling around what I thought I could do.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. So words of wisdom, there it is from the one and only Raj Jana. I really appreciate you sharing your insight because it is abstract for a lot of people, right? Like what is this branding intensive? And so I think hopefully they get inspired by what you've shared and what it's done for you and just, giving you the ocean of opportunities that you had mentioned. So I know that, you also said something really important, which which I haven't heard in other interviews, but I think people say it offline, which is you're so smart. You're not just investing in like the one activity, like the branding intensive. You're investing in to learn, and now you've been able to apply this for the rest of your life. That's so key. That investment, and this is just who you are and everything that you do, but that investment in yourself pays out dividends multifold, and you just continue to grow and grow and grow. And it's inspiring to watch and inspiring to hear your story. So thank you for sharing your time and your wisdom, Mr. Raj.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you for all the help you've given me over the years, man. I mean, it's been, just in so many ways, I've learned a lot from you, and I've really enjoyed just all the time that we get to spend together in many ways. And yeah, so I'm just grateful that I get to be on the receiving end.
Wow. So words of wisdom, there it is from the one and only Raj Jana. I really appreciate you sharing your insight because it is abstract for a lot of people, right? Like what is this branding intensive? And so I think hopefully they get inspired by what you've shared and what it's done for you, and just, giving you the ocean of opportunities that you had mentioned. So I know that, you also said something really important, which I haven't heard in other interviews, but I think people say it offline, which is you're so smart. You're not just investing in like the one activity, like the branding intensive. You're investing in to learn, and now you've been able to apply this for the rest of your life. That's so key. That investment, and this is just who you are and everything that you do, but that investment in yourself pays out dividends multifold, and you just continue to grow and grow and grow. And it's inspiring to watch and inspiring to hear your story. So thank you for sharing your time and your wisdom, Mr. Raj.
Thank you for having me.